The majority of persons living with disability experience financial difficulties and are unable to make enough money to meet their demands. Most of them are in poor conditions and find it hard to make a living. In addition to this, they face social discrimination within society. We are aiming to understand the problems that individuals living with disabilities face, as well as what society as a whole has been doing to support persons living with disabilities. Let's first get to know James, a struggling shoemaker from Obo.
My dear James Abose, na wo Obo, na Madam Fobi, na oba me ho. Me dada tamuno mi do apa, na oba mi ho no. Na obisa me say, me hu ye na me say no catch me say, oh me ye disabled. My end de me ye say na me ye adwuma no de ayedi.
In Accra, a typical shoe repair costs around 5 Ghana cedis. In order for James to afford a meal for a day, he needs to fix roughly 3 to 5 shoes. This can be quite difficult to achieve due to the current cost of living.
You say me bon parents so my na ba Accra where obo me na my baba shon aduma wa ha. Nti na me adum na me hwa me bae no na me hwa sunuka. Nti ye wie no na me sa call boom back. Say me kwakoye eho. Nti me ye oho a o enye ye kura. Binu kura no baba ye aduma ontwa. Na me ya alala dio kwa no mo nti sira mi go super aduma femenya maye ayampa aduma no dia minimu ye nti mi pam pabo so fine na pabo no so mi ye ni so fine but ensuo no pe na ha mi ensuo no ansuo no tose ya mi ntumi ekwa aduma Jimmy Sre, Manyam say, Nami Enimi Wafu. Na Baba be a shop be a mammy.
Okay, I am Adam Abdul Wahab. I work with the Ghana Federation of Disability Organizations, GFD, as a programs officer. I am in charge of research, health, governance, and communication and media. We have developed a proposed employment equity policy and submitted to the Ministry of Labour. What we seek to achieve with this is that public sector job, certain percentage or quota should be reserved for qualified persons with disabilities. So it becomes law or a policy, and then government decides to implement that policy. I'm sure that by the next 10 years, we wouldn't have enough unemployed persons with disabilities. It will surprise you to hear that even those people that beg in the streets, some are holding degrees and HNDs, who could have been working in offices. But the fact that employers do not pay attention to them just because of the disability, they have no option than to go to the street to beg for living, which is even illegal according to Ghana law. However, Ghana has not also consciously planned or programmed for moving these people out of the streets. And that is where the challenge is.
There are people living with disabilities who, like James, are unable to work or even understand the situations in which they find themselves. We are at Blue Crest College speaking to the Disability Reporting Club to learn more about their efforts to educate the public about the challenges faced by those living with disabilities.
My name is Patience Sentie, the secretary for the Disability Reporting Club here in Blue Crest. For some time now, we've been running this club which seeks to promote or bring to light issues with concerning disability to the media, and then also catch the attention of policymakers or policy seekers to draw policies in line with people living with disability. We've also been working on a documentary here in Nima in Accra, which seeks to bring issues of disability to light.
My name is Hassana Aminu, and she's Fusina Aminu. We are twins. She's having cerebral palsy. She was at the age of a year and then a month when she had convulsion.
There are two major issues which are being faced with people living with disability. It's got to do with issues of discrimination and then inclusion.
People relate to her, but they sometimes don't understand her, so they end up having chaos, like they fight so many times when she's in the midst of people. Because of her, she lacks understanding. So most of them don't understand her so well. She said her problem is when she's having a seizure. When there's nothing for her to hold, she feels. Yeah. When there's no medicine. Yeah.
So that's what that you want to do?
So I make it ski. I make it ski. Come on, make it so I'm come in any koyo make I'm making flowers and when I kick it so she wants to be okay. To be okay, she wants the hand to be like any other person. Right now she feels she's not part of us. Yes, most of the time that's a complaint. Even most of the time she's been saying, I'm lucky, I'm healthy, and she isn't. So I don't know any kind of support that will help her. That will help her to feel like a human.
My name is Najat Kasim. And yes, my sister, our cousin. Okay. So it started when she was 2 years old. For me, I didn't start talking at an early age, so we didn't detect the problem early because we were thinking she was following the same trend. So we didn't take any action until when she was 4 years and we realized that she wasn't talking. So we took her to Kolebu and we realized there is something wrong with her ears. They worked with her ears, so now she can hear clearly. But the talking, she doesn't talk. But once in a while she can mention a word, but when you ask her to re-mention it again, she won't. She mentions words at her own, at her own time. You can't force her to do something. And we took her to Achimota Special School and realized that she was suffering from autism. But we didn't know it was autism because she was looking like a normal person, so we didn't know she was suffering from something like that. So they admitted her, but she did something. The one taking care of her, she bites her. She bites you when she wants to ask for something like maybe water or food, but the person didn't understand it and she took it to be that she is very violent. And they sacked her from the school, and since then she has been in the house. But I realized that when you train her to do something like more than once, she understands it and she will not deviate from it.
In all this, what roles are corporate organizations playing to promote inclusion for persons living with disabilities?
So this center is a place where we test new things, new ideas. If you heard what Mildred said, she said that we started taking on national service persons, right? So this is where we test that idea. So we talk about persons with disability all the time. Most companies, all they do is just do the talk. So we're testing that out. After that, a report has to be generated and submitted to management and say, before these type of people come, we need to ensure that there's some sort of capacity building, and that's what we're doing here. And then from there, we can graduate into full-time employment for such people. Most of the time, when we design products, we are designing products for quote-unquote the abled people. The reason why we've also made it mandatory to have persons with disability work with them because they are best to tell us how well we can design the products for them. I'll give you a good example. So there was a day when Kwame, who is our guy, was sitting at the far side, and the alarm, we do fire drills all the time, the alarm started blurring. And when that happens, we walk out of the building and then we stand at a designated area. Then whilst we were leaving, Kwame was still sitting. I'm like, what is wrong with this guy? Is he deaf? You know? Which is what actually happened. He cannot hear the alarm that was blaring. So what does this mean? This means that in designing our alarm system, we now need to take into cognizance that there are some persons that may not be able to hear. And that is why it's so important to have them involved in the decision making. So if it had not been for the fact that Kwame was here, we probably would have thought it was business as usual. So because of this, if you're looking at products and services for persons with disability, there is a need to involve them in the design of loan facilities and the design of digital and design of everything that we do. But it's a gradual step, and there's a need for capacity building, and that is what we have started.
Discrimination against persons living with disabilities is common in our society. Let's visit the Ghana Federation of Disability to understand what it is they face and how they have tried to narrate their story.
At 715, the Persons with Disability Act 2006 stipulated in the Section 60 that buildings that predate the passage of the Acts were given 10 years moratorium or grace period to be modified and become disability friendly. But what do we see today? Not much has been done. So GFD continue to engage in intensive advocacy to ensure that we are able to at least modify our environment to make it friendly to persons with disabilities. GFD as an advocacy organization, first thing we do is to build the competence and the confidence of persons with disabilities. There were persons with disabilities who academically were good, but the level of confidence to be able to push and then excel was a problem. But then when we began our sensitization programs, our awareness programs, and then education, people picked up their competence. And if you should also look at people with disabilities who have, despite the challenges in their society, excel. I hope we all remember the famous Dr. Seydou Dana, who was a former minister of chieftaincy, culture and chieftaincy. He's a person with disability, he's blind, and he has PhD in law. We have Joshua Makubu, who is also now at the center of the discussion because he's the current minister for OT. He's also a person with disability, and he sat here with me before. We worked together in this organization before he got that opportunity. And, Joshua is somebody who is also pursuing his PhD in finance with the University of Ghana. We have people like Professor Jima Bodi, the founder of Center for Democratic Development, CDD. They are all persons with disabilities, and but they have been able to excel. When we are looking at the list, some of us are below. However, we've also crossed the master degree level, and we are at the public front fighting and pushing for persons with disabilities. Parents and family of persons with disabilities should accept them as any other member of their society. Persons with disabilities are not special creatures. We are not special people. Some of us have special needs, but that doesn't make us special. So we should be treated equally as any other person with equal opportunity and equal respect.
We therefore contribute to the concept that people living with disabilities are also humans like any other person. We have to support by providing them the space to bring out whatever talents they have in them.